welcome to This Week in Pharmacy. I am your host, the RX Podfather, Todd Eury, founder of the Pharmacy Podcast Network and founder of RXPR. I know I've been talking about this organization. It's our new parent company, RXPR. Just go to rxpr.net. All things public relations, business development, communications, specifically for the success of our pharmacists. Everyone knows, if anyone knows me, that the pharmacist is my hero. They're the provider that fights. They're the provider that dials in and understands the disease state, the condition. But I want to go back to that word that I said, and that's fighting. And fighting for the patient. That's the entire theme today. There are two warriors out there. If you want to look these two warriors up, go to TikTok, go to one of your social media platforms. Obviously, we're watching YouTube right now. If you're listening, if you're driving, if you're just listening to the podcast, I'm going to have their link to finding them in the show notes. Julie and Claudia are patient fighters. They fight for the patient. Their hearts are in this. They understand pain management because of the arthritis center that they're part of and their whole backgrounds. C_money 636. Claudia and Julie are patient advocates, patient fighters. They're doing this every day. And they took their passion and they created a TikTok channel and a social media channel and a content development channel showing the ugliness, the horrible ugliness of our insurance organizations out there who really don't seem to give a crap about patients. And pharmacists know this through prior authorizations and everything that pharmacists go through to get coverage for their patients and the horrible issues that we're going through with PBMs. I want to welcome Claudia and Julie to TWIRx. We're twerksing.
She loves to dance.
I like music, but I'm not a very good dancer.
We forgot her violin.
Oh my
She
gosh.
really gets steppy with her violin.
We're super psyched to be talking to you, Todd. The work that you're doing is so crucial to showing the people, we the taxpayers, we the patients of the United States of America, how much we need independent pharmacists, independent physicians, and physicians all to take care of us, because every one of us is a patient and every one of us has been denied and delayed by an insurance company or the rotten pharmacy benefit managers. And I'm specifically looking at OptumRx, CVS Caremark, and Express Scripts.
And adding in the interlopers, Save on SP, Save on, and Save RX.
Yes.
The recent debacle, Save RX, huh?
It's been going. I mean, she found a test from 2021 and they allowed the patient to stay on treatment and get it. But now they won't even talk to us.
Yeah.
They hang up the phone.
It's pretty remarkable that we have, I like to call them interlopers. So they're organizations that sit in between the physician and the pharmacist and the patient. So that would be like an insurance company that you'd expect and a pharmacy benefit manager that you would expect. But now you have, if you will, an alternative funder or a maximizer program or just a place that makes them functionally uninsured, so they drain patient assistance programs. And I'm thinking of my experience with patients and with Video, Payer Matrix, Save on SP, Save RX, Shark RX, like Archimedes. It's like whack-a-mole, these people coming up.
It's so upsetting. It's so frustrating when all you want as a pharmacist, a nurse practitioner, a physician is you want your patient to be okay. You want them to get what they deserve and what they've paid for, whether that be their commercial insurance or some entity that's helping them, Medicare, Medicaid system, and it's being raped. It's being pillaged. It's being pulled. All of the money is being pulled into profit. And finally, the consumer, based on organizations that are dialing in like PUT, Pharmacists United for Truth and Transparency, and the fusion of these groups that have always known about this, especially it's been rising within the last 10 years. And now they're being coupled with consumer-driven advocates like the two of you and Bill Schmitnick, who lost his son because insurance wouldn't cover an inhaler. If that were an independent community pharmacy, they would have given Cole the inhaler and said, hey, we'll get this taken care of tomorrow. And it would have been fine. It would have worked out. But consumers don't know that. Consumers don't know where to go. They think that if I go to a big box pharmacy or if I have mail order, everything should be okay. And by design, everything should be okay. But the nicks and the crannies and the algorithms and the lawyers and the people that have designed these programs have slowly started to turn off the patient care side of healthcare so that they can squeeze out as much money as possible so that they can do very little in order to react to the patient. And they make it so that the patient has to be in a never-ending sit and spin with logistics and paperwork and fill out this form and do this form. That's why I love what you two have created with your live call-ins to organizations. You have them on the phone. You're embarrassing the hell out of them.
Oh my gosh.
Tell the listeners that don't know the two of you, how did that start? How did that advocacy start? And whose idea was it to record it so that you guys could show the consumer what's really happening on both behind the scenes?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So it was nobody's intention that it would have to go this far, but I've been doing this job for 9 years and she's been with me for 4 years. Okay. So I have no social media up until 2020. And then I had just a little Arthritis Center Twitter account. Okay. And when she came on board, she was like super savvy. And I'm like, look, as soon as you can learn rheumatology and learn what I do, we can make this happen. And so she has like taken it from absolutely nothing to 57,000 followers on TikTok.
What started it is the social media person quit or something happened. And then I was like, Julie, let me try.
The website is what
let me
started.
try.
Yes.
And then she was like, okay. And then all of a sudden I just started like posting everything. And I was like, and then once we had enough followers, so I came over here, we filmed like 30 videos at one time just to try to get followers because our first 100 likes, it was like we were ready for our star on the Walk of Fame. And so we're at her house filming videos and she's changing her clothes so it looks like it's a different day.
Right.
And then like one of our videos got thousands of views and then we were able to go live. So then we would go live and just talk about healthcare. And then the first time I think we genuinely went live was during a peer-to-peer with Dr. Bach and you. And showing a peer-to-peer and people were like, wow, this is so informative. So then we just started doing it more and more. And I'm really good at making sure I mute quick enough, even though the HIPAA violators out there are very concerned. I say HIPAA because they spell HIPAA like a hippo and it drives me crazy. And
well, I just also think that a lot of patients and just people don't understand the enormous drain on the doctor's offices that the insurance companies make us do. And they're counting on the doctor's offices not taking the time or having the time to do it. And so they're like, forget it.
And they're also counting on employers to not know what goes on. I was talking to Jessie. She's HR for a big casino or whatever. And she's like, I told her about white bag drugs. And she's like, who pays that amount? Because I told her the difference in cost. And I was like, you guys, the employer.
Right. And the patient.
Right. And I was just like, that's why you guys have to read what you're going through. So we actually are submitting to do a talk and for their HR.
But here's the thing. When I started doing the real advocacy in 2020, things were not so bad. It has gotten so crazy in the past 5 years that it used to be that maybe we'd have 2 a week in 2020. We have 50 denials a week in my office, 50 denials. So those are 50 lives. Those are 50 patients that their care is being misdirected by a pharmacy benefit manager or their insurance company. And those are the cases that we fight.
Or substitutions, like we've run into the pharmacy express scripts sending a biosimilar without our provider's permission. And they're like, well, we got the patient's permission. And it's like, I'm sorry, last I checked, the patient should, they don't have the clinical information as to what the difference is and what the potential outcomes could be. And I was like, so who authorized it? I need their NPI because if she has an adverse reaction, that provider needs to be held accountable. Because we didn't authorize it yet. It's our license you're using.
I mean, this step therapy, the non-medical switches, white bag drug, these all have nothing to do with having the patient at the center of the decision. The decision is removed from the patient and it goes to what makes the most money for the insurance company or the pharmacy benefit manager. They don't care about a lower cost drug. That's an absolute lie. They want subcutaneous rheumatology drugs that are self-injectables that come from their pharmacies over the less expensive treatments that are less invasive. And it doesn't even remotely make sense. But that's what they've done. This is what these big insurance giants and pharmacy benefit managers have done. They're working all sides of every coin, from Congress and HHS and CMS and Medicare to the legislators to pharma to the employers. And everybody is getting the screw job except for the insurance companies and the pharmacy benefit managers.
Well, and I would say I don't feel bad for the way I talk to the customer service agents. I'm sorry. You're fully aware of where you work and what you're causing. Get it. It's not hard. There's lots of online jobs. I have no sympathy. I've worked at a warranty company and I knew exactly what to expect. So I expect they know the same.
And Todd, back to your original question of how did this start? It started that we follow every pathway to prior authorize, to get a denial, to get an appeal, to get a letter of medical necessity, to do a peer-to-peer. And when all of those things go south, then we've discovered that public shaming is the new prior authorization. And you start redacting stuff and putting it out on Twitter to the employer and the insurance company and the pharmacy benefit manager. They're like, oh my God, who are these nuts?
Well, and TikTok, I mean, let's be honest, TikTok doesn't mind two cute girls like going through healthcare. Something grabs their attention. So then they're like, wait, and then we hook them and we've got them.
Yep.
Because they're like, I didn't know that.
It's education, but you're doing it. It's fun to watch you. You're both extremely good presenters and you break things down. So you're describing to the watcher, the listener, you're describing them to what you're actually trying to do in a conversation with somebody that's at the insurance company that's supposed to be helping you. And all they're doing is putting you in a sit and spin to be able to never get that money in order to cover that medication or cover that procedure or cover what you're doing. For our listeners, pharmacists out there, if you work with any arthritis, any rheumatoid arthritis, anything that in this arthritis, would you describe to us and our listeners kind of like an example of a patient of what they go through, and then when the ball is given to you in order to engage your amazing TikTok channel that then you start calling the insurance company? Like take us through kind of like how it leads up to when you expose them.
So listen, with rheumatology patients, those are patients with autoimmune issues, okay? It can be rheumatoid arthritis. There's 100 different kinds of arthritis. And then we also cover lupus and, ankylosing spondylitis, that's another big one. There's a whole cluster of rheumatology illnesses. These are inflammatory conditions. We don't necessarily need MRI imaging of someone's spine. We already know their films look terrible. So let's skip the expensive part of that because we're going to treat symptoms. We're never going to get your spine perfect. And what we want to try to do is keep inflammatory patients, arthritis patients, off the operating room table, because if they go and get these operations, they still have the inflammatory conditions. So they still have the problem. So we have a great amount of biologics in our toolbox that really can give these patients their lives back. And these biologics turn on and off different receptors that turn the pain off and let these patients get as good as they can get. Nobody's going to be pain-free.
Well, and our clinicians, they are extremely educated on which patient's going to benefit from what. So once they suggest a medication and we send it, the medical assistants will do a prior authorization on Cover My Meds or Sure Scripts or however they want. Their choice. They send it over. And then if they get a denial and it's like they must try step therapy and like they've tried an appeal letter, then it's like, all right, well, they're mandating this patient to either switch to a biosimilar or go to one of these step therapies. And that's when Julie and I are like, no, thank you. We'll call. And then if they blow us off and we have they're not willing to help, that's when we're like, all right, let's get on TikTok. And you can always tell how the conversation's going to go within the first 2 minutes, if it's going to be a good call to videotape or not. And it's by how helpful the customer service person really is, because I would say it probably takes at most 5 minutes to get us, if they truly wanted to get us to the right person. so we could get it approved.
Well, also in rheumatology, insurance companies and pharmacy benefit managers want everyone to be one size fits all. And in rheumatology, it's not even one size fits most. Our patients have between 3 and 20 chronic conditions. So it's never going to be everyone needs to go on Enbrel. No, everyone needs to go on a JAK. Those JAKs are so dangerous, the JAK inhibitors.
Every single Humira person needs to go to a biosimilar.
Yeah, it's like they are just playing with these patients' lives. And in 2020, Dr. Bach made 2 non-medical switches from an originator drug to the biosim because the patient said, I don't care, I'll just do what my insurance company wants. Both those patients reacted so severely that they went to the emergency room. And one patient had to go on 7 different trial and failures of drugs because the originator, when we went back to it, didn't work. So we see that time and time again. So when we have a patient that's stable on a drug, we are not changing it, period. So that's where we come in. If they don't want to listen to physicians' reasoning on a peer-to-peer, a letter of medical necessity, then buckle up, make some coffee, we'll call our spouses, we're getting this overturned.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And the patient feels like they have somebody that is actually paying attention to what's going on. Otherwise, the patient is lost in this system, and that system is set up on purpose. They put the cheese in part of the maze, and they expect the patient mouse to go through their silly little maze. And sometimes it's a circle maze, which they'll never find the cheese. And they do it on purpose so they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay, and it's designed not to pay. And it's high. Our consumer healthcare for the last, especially the last 10 years, but it probably started about 20 years ago, has been completely hijacked by the insurance agencies, insurance groups.
100%. Insurance is the biggest scam. Health insurance in the United States of America is the biggest scam in the United States of America. Make no mistake about it. Your insurance company isn't paying bills for you. They're using your money to siphon away direct patient care dollars to themselves and then paying some piddly little bill. But unless you get hit by a bus,
I still have to take a loan.
You're not even going to hit your deductible. So every year they're having double-digit increases. And I'm a patient. I'm an employer. I'm an employee. I mean, we're all paying these ridiculous amounts of fees and premiums and co-insurance and deductible, and we're not getting jack shit.
Mm-hmm. So how do we get this to be a tidal wave? What do you say to listeners, all these pharmacy owners out there that are listening, our hospital system pharmacists that are listening, specialty pharmacists? I think we need some pharmacists to take a play from your book and do prior authorization phone calls. And I said to Claudia, we should have a segment on TWIRx that you and I do a couple PBM phone calls and reach out. But if there are pharmacists listening that you want to join forces with Claudia and Julie, I mean, reach out to them and let them know. Go to the website even to just, orient the whole realm of what St. Louis arthritis, it's St. Louis, right? St. Louis Arthritis Centers.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the team. What a wonderful team. You even have dogs. I love dogs. Big dog person. And
Mm-hmm.
this team is, I believe in your team just based on the representation of what the two of you have done and how important that you make it. You make the patient important in ways that the patient doesn't feel important. They feel like they're being ignored, and they are being ignored. It's designed that way. And it's nice to see that you're, not only do you get it, but you're defending them on the phone with that provider and telling them and double backing and calling bullshit where you're saying, hey, the patient needs this, and I know that you aren't doing it on purpose by design.
It's absolutely insane. It's so crazy. And I never thought but we're obviously doing something right because United Healthcare just hired a group of attorneys for slander. And It's like, well, it's a good thing we're live because everything we're doing is in real time. You can't argue that it's not happening.
Real time, and it's our experience with our patients, and we have our patients shoulder to shoulder with us because they know what good healthcare looks like. They're getting good healthcare at my clinic. But trust and believe, I've got 24 staff people in the office, that doesn't even count the remote people, to support one physician.
But they also know that we'll sit on the phone with them for 2 hours trying to get an approval, as I did the other day with Cigna, because you're not going to steer me off the phone. I'm not going to let you tell me like, oh, I'll wait. I have all day.
I'll hold. My favorite line is, we've got nothing better to do. And, we're also really socializing the issues. We're emailing them to the leadership at
David Cordani
at Cigna, and, all of these at Sir Andrew Whitty at United Health Cartel. I mean, these situations, you keep hearing about, oh, well, we really want to partner. We're the lifeblood of healthcare. No, you're not.
But you don't have a phone number or an email to the prior authorization department,
and you don't answer your phone, and you don't respond to us. We're quick, and we are tenacious, and we're quick. We will not give up, and it's really hard to beat people that won't give up. And our patients feel that. Rheumatology patients have flares. They've got a lifelong chronic illness. We are not curing disease in our center. We are managing it. So they're only as good as they're going to be, but they know what it's like to feel better and to live their best life and to keep employed and continue to be taxpayers instead of going on disability. So we have to stand up and speak for them when they can't speak for themselves. And my God, are they grateful. I mean, we have patients we have an army of 3,000 patients that are standing behind us saying, yes, I want those too.
I love when you guys are on, Claudia. I love when you're coaching people that are asking questions in your lives, where you'll say, you'll have dialogue with people that are watching these programs that are asking you questions about maybe some subject that they are also experiencing. So not only are you helping your patient, which is the primary importance, you're helping the public understand that this is a big shell game, and this is bullshit, and this is what's happening. And you're coaching people that are asking questions along with the creepers, because you both have an onslaught. I've witnessed it. I've dialed into your TikToks, and then the creeper comments always, of course, start coming out, and it's just like, whatever. It's like we're on the show with Claudia and Julie to get something done, and now people are like, can I have your number?
And it's so frustrating, but at the same time, I'm like, just keep commenting. It's fine. Keep commenting. You can say I'm a stay-at-home single mom, whatever. By you commenting, you're getting it out to more people. You're helping my analytics. So
listen, I'm 60 years old. I can't, without my reading glasses in, I can't even read the marginal comments. But look, I'm happy to help anybody. We've helped patients from all over the United States understand advocacy. We've helped them write an appeal. We've had patients fly in from Norway to be seen in our clinic because they don't have access to quality care. We are just here to do the next right thing, and that is to help
bring the care
patients
back to health care.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have direct care. We need to have the employers and the patients paying directly to the pharmacists and the physicians and the healthcare professionals doing the work. And let's remove the insurance companies and the middleman. They literally are doing nothing but putting broken glass in front of physicians, making pharmacists' lives horrid by paying them under the acquisition cost of the drug. And we're all really important people in the healthcare bubble. I was going to say ecosystem, but that's not me. I like to speak like a third grader because make it make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, there's something that's not true.
Yes.
I would rather go back to the olden days where physicians worked for a chicken than I would rather than deal with this insane, layered up, opaque BS of me having to provide a service and then bill claims to the insurance companies, have them rejected, have them go get records, go back, blah, blah, blah,
all
blah,
the
blah.
while,
it's a nonsense.
The patient has they're losing hope. Like them walking into our office for their first appointment is a huge step because they know they're going to get diagnosed with, and it's going to change their lives forever.
They're going to get on treatment.
And then they think their insurance this is the one time they've been paying insurance their whole entire life. They need the care. The insurance is surely going to step up. No, your medication's been denied. And they're like, well, I just don't understand. And I'm like, this is insurance. So many times patients on the phone are like, well, they said it was you guys. You guys didn't send the documentation. I'm like, well, we'll call them together. Let's do a verbal authorization. And they've actually made the patient get off the phone for me to do the authorization. Like,
it's
a game.
We are here to connect the right patient with the right treatment, and it is not going to be what makes the insurance companies the most money. It's going to be what works for that individual patient. So anything short of that, we are not going to be throwing down for. We're not going to allow our clinicians' licenses to be practiced on by some for-profit insurance company. Not happening. So we're just trying to get back to old school medicine.
And we love teaching people on TikTok. It is a passion, and it is like, I go live often. You have to go live in the morning, in the afternoon, at nighttime. So building this whole entire platform that we have to educate patients on how to, and not only educate, but empower them to feel comfortable calling the insurance company and being like, no.
Well, and the other thing is, it works. Mm-hmm. So we only do stuff that works. And one of these days, they're going to get sick and tired of dealing with us. In fact, I think actually Cigna might be sick and tired of us because I'm going to have to show them that.
I will take over from here. But when patients have the confidence to call and they see me, just a small little girl, like, you ding dong, or like, what's your first and last, like, what's your first name and your last initial? It reminds them to take notes so you can go back and be like, well, I spoke to Jerry, John, Jessica, yep. Samantha.
You know, there's nothing special about what we're doing. We're just doing it in a very public, yep. very tenacious way.
And we're following all the required rules. We're not breaking HIPAA. We're not breaking protected health information. The patient knows they're partnering with us. It's so crazy.
Or have you received cease and desists, or have you received any legal issues with the payers?
Yes, we have. We got a cease and desist from Cigna. It's now part of my advocacy slideshow. And they wrote all about how this little office in Bridgeton, Missouri was trying to compete with international multi-billion-dollar Cigna. Really?
That was the first time you were actually, because we were posting before that, and that was the first time she was actually really nervous about continuing to post. And I'm like, Julie, you're making waves in a freaking puddle.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We have signed consents from every patient. And we also got a breach of contract from another payer, another insurance company. Let's leave them out of it because we're back in. But they said that we sent their members' number. They called patients members. Like, who would want to be a member of some shit club like that?
They've actually changed it to customers now.
Whatever. And I had a signed written consent from the patient. Because these patients are desperate. That patient was off treatment for 7 months. And he signed that he wanted to do a social media marketing push on his prior authorization. And he was an Amazon employee. He was a 70-something-year-old African-American Amazon worker. Okay. And we went and pushed his information up on Twitter. Now, do you think the insurance company would have said, wow, hey, how can we help you? No, they sent me a certified letter saying you have breached the contract because you put out the patient's member ID for this insurance company. I'm like, no, I have
that was United Health Cartel.
It wasn't that.
No, I was saying.
Well, United Healthcare can send all of our information in the Change Healthcare hack and get in zero trouble whatsoever. But patients don't care about the insurance company's ID number, and they are not bonded to their insurance company, and they don't trust them. So those ID numbers don't mean anything to them. So this patient had literally signed the thing. I'm like, do you want this on or off, on or off, on or off? Sign off on this tweet because that's what's going to happen. But you know what? The case capitulated. We won the case for the patient, and he got on therapy because we pushed it out on Twitter. Now, these insurance companies have plenty of opportunities to call me up. My cell phone is on everything. My office number is on everything. I work all the time. You call my cell phone, I'm picking up. If they wanted to say, hey, what can we do to work together? Nobody's ever said that to me, not one time. So yes, I've dealt with these insurance companies. And when we got Cigna's cease and desist, I think that was after we turned
to C-Money 636.
Yeah. We just were like, forget it. We'll just use her personal account and be a parody. But we don't even take Cigna because of their attitude of like
Sick,
this.
no care.
And these are people that are making money off the backs of the patients.
Yep.
And
They're not
employers.
doing any of the work. They're just saying no. Every single time that I get involved in a case, it's because the insurance companies and the pharmacy benefit managers come from a place of no. We come from a place of yes.
Or just tell me why.
Or if not this, then why not?
Give me,
make
explain
sense
it to me so then I can go and explain it to the patient or the physician.
But I'm not going to be explaining something stupid like because you need to make more money. That's not a real reason.
Yeah,
This
it's not on
this
formulary.
paid more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not on formulary. What a bunch of just baloney. We have a specific group of pharma companies that we work with. We're not going to work with anybody else, including, it doesn't matter if it works better for the patient. It's so funny. So there's a science called pharmacogenomics, and pharmacists should be leading it, but there's researchers and geneticists and things. But pharmacogenomics is, you're going to take a cheek swab. I'm going to take a cheek swab. We're going to send it in. They're going to take an analysis of how our DNA is impacted by specific drugs. The reason why PGX, which it started with something in me. What was that genetics company called?
23andMe. 23andMe.
Yeah. So the reason why 23andMe got in so much trouble the first 5 years that they were out, and now of course they've changed where they're just doing demographics and your ancestry and stuff, is they were giving the patient so much information, and there was information so powerful that the pharma companies, the insurance companies, the healthcare companies basically shut them down, saying you can't just give this information out to the patient. They're not going to understand how to understand it or use it or whatever, and which is complete crap.
No one understands their health insurance.
Exactly. So pharmacogenomics, someday when it finally gets pushed through by Congress or whoever else actually has to release it, is going to become the bane of the pharmaceutical manufacturer and of course the PBMs, because now if 60%, 50%, 30% of a client base, of a patient base can't take this med because they can't metabolize it, then why in the world did it even get through clinical trials? Why is this drug allowed to be out there for pain management or blood thinning or whatever it is? If I take a genetics test and I can prove based on the test that I'm never going to be able to use that medication as it's designed, but they put it out for the masses. And just like you said, Julie, they want to rubber stamp patients. They want to rubber stamp. So if you have pain and I have pain, they want to give us the exact same pain reliever and expect it to work on you the way it works on me. And I metabolize different than you do, or I don't metabolize at all. So this is part of what's going to end up happening through technology and through artificial intelligence. We're going to have to call bullshit on the systems that have been set up and the drugs that are being developed, because they do have the technology now to start deviating and start changing compositions so that it does work for more people, because it's different the way that somebody metabolizes something. And that's a whole another element of why our healthcare system is curbed to the stockholder or curbed to the profitability of the entity rather than it being about care. It's just very frustrating.
And can you imagine these big wigs that are like, did you see that TikTok?
Oh, I don't think we're getting that much.
I mean,
attention.
Aetna said our video was going around their company.
Well, they
People
did.
are seeing our videos.
Aetna sent me an email saying, get off TikTok. I'm like, are you serious? You're worried about like
little old me?
Little old Claudia's
little
TikTok?
Old me?
Look, if you work with us, we'd get off your Dick Van Dyke. That's what I tell them all the time. Work with us, not against us. But the pharmacists and the physicians doing the work are really important people. And the fact of the matter is that the pharmacist's time is wasted. The physician's office time is wasted. All for what? So a couple insurance companies can dictate to us. I mean, this is the crazy thing, how far we've gotten off in a ditch.
Express Scripts came out and said they're trying to get rid of all independent pharmacies in Missouri.
Well, they've done a really good job of it.
That's their goal, because they're like, well, if they can get it some other way through our vertically aligned pharmacy. why not? And it's like, because that pharmacist isn't going to give me a couple days of my antidepressant if I can't afford the whole thing. They're not going to give me, like, whereas my personal pharmacy, they're like, hey, Claudia, what's going on? This is a new medication. Do you know any questions, anything? And it's like, no.
It's such an important relationship. You have a trusted relationship with your pharmacist. You have a trusted relationship with your physician. And then the other side of it is you can't get your stupid insurance company on the phone because they're having all their calls answered in Vietnam and there's a goat in the background.
And they have free health care.
Right. So, I mean, look, it's a trusted relationship. When you're sick, who do you want to have a conversation with? Your trusted pharmacist, your trusted physician, or somebody in India saying, hello, United Healthcare.
Or any other offshore country. We're not aiming at just
I'm
one.
just saying that everything is just like pushed to the lowest and farthest denominator.
Yep.
If insurance companies really want to help, give us email addresses. Give us people to help us.
But I was on the phone with the customer service rep, and she's like, but I understand. And I'm like, don't you have free healthcare? And she's like, well, yes, but I understand. And I'm like, no,
you don't understand. You have free healthcare.
Your medicine gets covered because whenever the doctor prescribes it, there's no denial process. You don't comprehend a denial.
Well, and the other thing, the pharmacists have such an important role of making sure the physicians don't make a mistake.
Yeah.
We are standing shoulder to shoulder with our pharmacist colleagues because they've got the big picture in the relationship with the patient as well. And they can say, hey, did you mean to do this? Hey, but instead pharmacy is being taken up with tasks of all sorts of nonsense as opposed to working with that patient.
And by the way, you're not going to get fully reimbursed for this medicine you gave to a patient.
Yeah, you can make more money, pharmacists, off a cup of drip coffee than you can off 10, 20 prescriptions. Yeah. So unfair.
Well, you're champions, fighting for the patient. Love you both. I will always support you. I want to have you back on TWIRx. We're gonna do a call. We're gonna do a call out to a PBM, and we're gonna dig in. And we
would love to do that. We appreciate your excellence and all the work you're doing. We will be on anytime.
I love the idea of adding us to a little show where we call insurance companies as if we're doing it already.
Yeah. We might as well.
Pharmacists, send in your stuff. I'll start arguing for you.
I'm going to send you both TWIRx shirts. We're going to all have to TWIRx at the same time with our shirts.
Yes. Perfect. And our Pharmy shirts.
Our Pharmy US. I know there's still they bought US Pharmy shirts and they still don't got them. And I'm so upset about that. So yeah, I'm actually on that right now with our guy that's supposed to get it for us. So
okay, Todd, thank you very much, friend. Fiddlesticks.
It was nice seeing you guys. Thanks for being part of TWIRx this week. Claudia and Julia, you have to follow them. Go to TikTok, look them up. This is C_money636 on TikTok. Give them a follow. You guys are great. Thanks for being on TWIRx. We will see you next time. All right. Before our next segment, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, IPC, the Independent Pharmacy Cooperative. 100% of their members are owners in this buying group. And once again, they're doing some crazy things. Did you hear about iCare Plus? iCare Plus, the digital health platform. This thing is just amazing. It's going to revolutionize treatment management, and it makes money without having anything to do with the dispensing fee. It's more about working with the patient ongoing and getting paid for it. We'll be right back. We have a special episode, a special interview coming up with a PR agency owner, which is one of my big brothers in public relations. And with that, here's IPC.
This episode is sponsored by Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, widely known as IPC. Established in 1983, IPC is the nation's largest group purchasing organization owned by independent pharmacy. With a mission of maximizing the success of community pharmacists, IPC works to provide members with access to effective programs and services designed to enhance profitability for independent pharmacy. Read more about our mission by checking out our website at ipcrx.com. That's ipcrx.com.
Hey, and we're back. Hey, I wanted to just say, appreciate you listening into the first segment of TWIRx. We're here thinking about the next generation of public relations. I don't know if you heard, but we announced our new parent company, the Pharmacy Podcast Network's new parent company is RXPR, and that is a public relation and business development entity that is dedicated specifically to the pharmacist and to the pharmacy stakeholders and to the pharmacy businesses that are trying to do other things. And communications and connecting and networking is so important to the life of pharmacy care. So I'm just excited that the agency is up and running. We have our website up. We have our newswire service. I'm excited about where this is going to take our clients. But more importantly, it's going to give us an opportunity to bond with bigger PR agencies, agents that have been doing it for years, organizations who understand the importance of communication, and how pharmacy care is just one part of this bigger ecosystem. So I was excited to meet a public relations maven, somebody who built his own agency from the ground up. And he's my guest today on our second part of This Week in Pharmacy. He's here to TWIRx with us, Curtis Spar. Welcome to TWIRx.
Oh my God, thanks for having me.
So you got a TWIRx. Got a twerk.
I don't know if I can twerk. I will try, but I'm not known for my dancing skills. Never have really been known for my dancing abilities.
Oh, I enjoyed the first time that we had an opportunity to talk, and your organization is just growing, and it's so interesting. I love talking about communications. I love talking about how it's changing. Just in case our listeners didn't get a chance to listen to some of our previous conversations, tell us about BossBar and what you're doing and a little bit about your agency.
Well, BossBar is a politely pushy tech and pharma PR agency. We have about 70 some odd people across the United States. We've been work from home since 2015. In fact, we thought we would never actually have an office. And because of that, we've been able to work with the best people, no matter what, without having an office. And I think that's been really transformative in terms of our ability to be productive and our ability to really make fantastic outcomes happen for our clients. And you might notice behind me all the awards we have won. And I think that's because we invest in people rather than buildings.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I was a guest on your podcast. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun being on the other side of the mic. I love the content that you're developing also for your clients. There's something that's happening that's special for you. And that is, you and I think very similar because we're like, hey, there's other aspects of communications and setting up people and making them tie into a bigger ecosystem and environment and mission. And that is your love for the art and the science and the application of public relations has now spun into a children's book in order to teach kids, hey, what is PR? So Game Face, you see it on your screen there. If you're listening, just take a look at bossbar.com/game-face. This is really freaking cool. When I heard you were coming out with this, I'm like, I got to feature you on TWIRx and get you to tell us a little bit about this book. So help us out. Like, tell our listeners, what is Game Face?
Game Face started when my niece, Sloan, asked me what I did for a living. And I looked on Amazon and I tried to find a book about PR and I really couldn't find anything. And so that led me to think, you know what? I should write my own book. And this was coming as we were turning 10 years old. And I thought, what if I wrote a book about PR for 10-year-olds?
Wow.
And so that came to life. And some might say that all I'm qualified to do is write for 10-year-olds. And sure, fine, whatever. I used to be in, broadcast news, and that's kind of the audience we'd write for anyway. And so we put Sloan at the center of the action. And the action is her video game starts glitching, and she discovers that I'm working with the video game company on a crisis control plan. And this mirrors a lot of the work that I've done in PR. And we wanted to do this so that anyone who had a question about what do PR people really do, what is it like, could understand it. Because right now, when you look in popular culture and TV, you'll have Sex and the City, where it seems like PR is all about having parties, or perhaps some of the more exciting dramas where it's like covering up dead bodies or doing something like that. But a lot of times, PR is really trying to understand the story of a person or a product and trying to make that story interesting and relatable. And so that's what Game Face does.
That is so cool. What special bond to share this with your niece too, and now for the rest of her life, she'll remember and be able to understand not only what public relations ties into every aspect of our lives in the world of modern day consumerism, but the pride that she's probably taking, knowing that she was kind of the centrifuge per se of this book. So this is so cool. This is fun. PR detective.
Yeah, and the idea about a PR detective is that frequently in PR, you're trying to uncover something. A client will come to you and they'll say that they want to do this thing, and yet you'll have to uncover, what does this thing really mean? Why is it important? Why is it interesting? And sometimes the client may not know why it's interesting either. And so we have to work to uncover what's fascinating and what might be purposeful to other people. One example that I think is interesting is Tetris. They came to us and they said, we want to do our anniversary. And one of the things that we uncovered was the idea that there was this Tetris effect. And it's this feeling that people have when they play Tetris for a very, very long time, and they start seeing the pieces of Tetris in front of them. And so we used the Tetris effect as our branding for our 25th anniversary. And it really took off, so much so that Google changed their doodle to the building blocks of Tetris for the anniversary.
Oh, isn't that cool? That's so special. What an effective tie back to your agency and being able to kind of like curb and tell stories and make it relatable. And so many people, I remember when Tetris came out, and I think originally it was all gray before it actually had colors, and it might have been on the Commodore 64 or something like that back in the day, just to date myself, but or something like Tetris. But my fascination with what you've done is tying in technology, healthcare. I'm constantly talking to pharmacists of how they're doing something and they do it every single day. So they don't think it's a story. And when I tell their own story back to them, the lights start going off and they're like, wow, I might get more funding, or I might be able to increase my budget or my department if I just was out there blogging or doing some social media or doing some official release of some sort that would bring attention to that subject. And you're giving the first phase of that through Game Face, of teaching our kids the importance of communication and public relations and connection to our end user. And sometimes that end user is a B2B environment. Sometimes it's a B2C or business to consumer environment. What would you say to your niece or any of our the kids out there about communication in and of itself? Like, what's important to learn in the first stages of communication?
Probably the vocabulary someone uses, because understanding the words and the phrases that are important to them are the best way to make sure that they understand, that you understand. And for example, when we are using a, how should I say, when we're conducting a pharmacy outreach campaign, usually what we're doing is we're doing a program that hits on the pain points that our pharmacy clients solve. So if it was depression, of course, you're going to be talking about all the different symptoms that you treat. And then you're also going to be making that come alive for, various audiences about all the problems that people living with depression face. And so the different sort of vocabulary surrounding depression is different, whether you're talking to a very smart medical audience or you're talking to regular consumers. And so using that vocabulary in the right places is going to make sure that you get heard and understood effectively. But the first thing you need to do is listen.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Talk about everything that I've learned about pharmacy has been by listening to my guests talking about thousands of different subjects within the granulars of what sector of pharmacy or what they're doing in pharmacy or how they are helping a patient or technology or a clinical trial or something. Curtis, this is interesting for me because I'm at a new stage of my own growth and our own growth as a communications company ourselves and becoming very micro channeled into the need to amplify the voice of the pharmacist in the specific care and the sectors, whether it be pediatrics or geriatrics or clinical trials or something. What's BossBar? Is there anything you can share with us that you're working on right now that may be coming out over the next month or two?
Ooh, a tease.
Ah,
I think the big thing we're working on is new AI tools. Last year, we introduced Pushy. We're the Politely Pushy agency, and Push E is our 24/7 AI service tool, where if you have a PR question, you could go to Pushy on bothbar.com and ask Pushy to make recommendations. For example, if your competitor introduces a new offering, how should you respond? What should you do? And we were really thrilled actually by the response we got for Pushy. And so we thought, well, what can we do to raise the bar on Pushy? How can we add to what Pushy is doing? And how can we make sure that if people are looking for, further tailored PR solutions and they're doing it at an hour when no one's really available to answer a call, how can we make sure that they're getting the sort of support that they need?
that's so cool. I'm looking at it now, and this is fascinating. It's at bossbar.com. If you're driving, if you're walking, I'm going to put a link in the show notes, but it's bospar.com. Curtis, you have to promise to come back to TWIRx, bring me some good stories, or bring me something that we can discuss. Even one of your own clients that are tying in pharmacy care, of course. Look up Curtis Spar at SPARRER, and he is the founder principal of BossBar. This is great. You have to promise that you're going to come back.
I will. Maybe I'll even learn how to twerk.
Got to learn how to twerks. When you're twerksing, you're worksing. So there you go. I'll have to hashtag that. All right. We'll catch you next time.
Next time.